Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering video on the Moopa Troopa channel. I am Max Rappaport, and today I am participating in a Modern Super Qualifier tournament, currently with 325 players, so gonna be a long one. Gonna be a long video is what that means, and here is the list I am running for today. Now, I was jumping back and forth between various Through the Breach strategies, some of the Rhinos decks, and Eldrazi Ramp, and um, I decided that I wanted to play something different. The Rhinos deck felt a little clunky. Eldrazi Ramp was just not fun to me, and that's pretty important. If you're not having a good time, if you don't enjoy your deck, then you're not going to win as much, you're not going to have a good time, and you're not going to get as good at your deck because you don't really care. This is a deck that I was playing a while ago. I kind of stopped playing it because of the Boros Energy Menace that was running around. It just felt like an unwinnable matchup. You had to play so perfect, and even when you did, it was like maybe 60-40 at best. But they've gotten some nerfs. The One Ring, big one that you don't have to worry about now. So I am back on this deck, and I found this list, which I really, really like. 3 Force of Negation feels like a very good number. 4 Oculus, 2 Murktide, 2 Graveyard Trespasser to help with Graveyard Hate as well as the Flage decks. 4 Counterspell, 1 Shoot the Sheriff, 4 Psychic Frog, of course, the namesake card of this deck, although I guess I have it labeled as Blue-Black Oculus. Frog is the best card in this deck. 4 Thought Scour, 4 Fatal Push, 4 Unearth, 4 Consider, as just a ton of cheap 1-drops. That's like another thing with the Rhinos deck, is you don't get to run this many 1-drops. And Modern is a pretty fast format, and the faster you can get stuff going, the better it is for you. And this deck gets stuff going pretty fast, it interacts pretty fast, and it just feels much more sleek and refined and powerful than the Rhinos deck. The Rhinos deck is definitely powerful, but it's not. It doesn't have the same explosiveness as well as um just mana efficiency that this deck really outputs, with the counterspell kind of being the top of your curve. 2 and 3 is like mostly the top of your curve. You don't cast the Oculuses too much though, so it's mostly 2-drops with a few 3-drops, and curving out there feels pretty good in Modern right now. You have one of the most powerful creatures, and then rounding out 2 Spell Snares, 1 Spell Pierce. These are like flex spots. It's subject to change depending on exactly which way the meta goes. Some people are running Stern Scolding, some people are running Consign. People's lists are really all over the place, but this is the one that felt the most right to me. In the sideboard, 4 Consigns, definitely necessary, because you need a way to counter those Eldrazi triggers, the cast triggers, as well as the spells. Honestly, the cast triggers more important to counter some of the time, like Emrakul, the which one is that? The Promised End that takes control of your turn. If that happens, you kind of can't win. And then Stern Scolding for energy decks. I have 1 Toxic Deluge for little creature decks, 2 Explosives, which hasn't seen a lot of play in Modern for a while, but it's definitely making a comeback with all the affinity stuff going around. This is also not bad against Boros. Couple Mystical Dispute for the blue matchups. Couple Harbinger of the Seas, which you need for Amulet and things of the sort, as well as the explosives, which will come in against 1-drop Urza Saga decks. And then 2 Thoughtseize as just kind of a catch-all. When your removal isn't great, you can board in a couple Thoughtseize and still keep that curve nice and low. But yeah, that's the deck. And if you enjoy watching these videos, make sure you subscribe, like, leave a comment. All of that helps me immensely. Yeah, I just want to be able to keep making videos, and every time I make a video, I'm trying out new things and trying to improve the quality, trying to improve what I'm talking about, how I'm talking. But a lot of work goes into it for me, so if you enjoy it, please drop a subscription or a comment. Let me know. And yeah, see you in the matches. It is just about time to get into the first match. We got 5 seconds left, 464 people in the tournament, 672 max, so we're getting up there. But gonna see if this deck and me have what it takes to get to the top 8. That is my goal for today. And yeah, on the play for round number 1. So I do have the option of surveilling turn 1 and then considering and really trying to dig for something to put into play with this Unearth. And if I don't hit it, I have a turn 3 Murktide. I think it is a keep on the play, but it's not incredible. So, gonna lead off with the Bloodstained Mire and go for a Surveil land, hopefully entombing something. And we will see what we are up against. A Mishra's Bauble tells me some type of artifact deck. Unclear what, or an Eldrazi Temple. So maybe the Brood Scale list. Start with a Haywire Might. I'm not too worried about Haywire Might. Definitely an Urza's Saga deck. They do have a Mox Opal to follow it up, so that's a lot of mana for turn 2. Let's see if I can cheat something big into play right off the bat. Really hoping I can. Consider is probably not good enough. Let's just start filling up the graveyard for this Murktide. Alright, so I will play an island. Consider, put that into the yard, and really find nothing here. So, not looking incredible for me. Maybe they won't have anything, and a turn 3 Murktide will be just good enough. They have 3 mana right now. They go for a Malevolent Rumble. So, a bit of a slow start from them. Let's see what they reveal. Blade of the Blood Chief, Urza's Saga, which is what they end up taking, and Ancient Stirrings and a Bauble. Sure, so you have a Saga in play. They can get in for 1. And they pass it over to me. So I guess I'll start off with a Consider. Shoot the Sheriff is gonna stay on top. And then suppose I have to fetch a Watery Grave because my island is in the yard. So let's do that, and let's play a large Murktide. I think just making it as big as possible. Unlikely they have a ton of removal for it. Then I can fetch a Surveil land and maybe shoot the Sheriff next turn. I can bounce something. Just hoping they don't have the combo in a way to kill me. Hoping the small amount of interaction I have is enough. If I can get enough instants and sorceries in my yard as well, I can maybe 3-turn clock them? Probably 3-turn clock them. But anything faster than that is going to be pretty tough. Okay, they're playing an Eldrazi. Fleshraker, maybe? Yeah, sure. And then just passing. And they can activate the Urza's Saga. So that's good to be on the lookout for. Leaves your graveyard. Okay. So let's go ahead and, well, can I get in with this? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be 6 artifacts. So a pretty big guy. I think I do have to just get in with this and try and kill them, though. And then see what they go and get with the Urza's Saga. Possibly just a Shadow Spear. They Shadow Spear, I can shoot the Sheriff the Construct, Surveil, hopefully find like an Oculus or a Frog to put into play, but We'll see. They're tapping for a mana. They could also just get a Blade of the Blood Chief, which would be pretty scary. That is the one they go for. Another Darksteel Citadel into Basking Brood Scale. So that is... Well, they don't have another green mana right now, but they can still go off, so I guess I kill in response to the equip, but I'm probably still just dead anyway. They're going to combat. Sure. They attack for 7. I will take it. Go for the equip. So let's shoot the sheriff now. I think I should get a Surveil land. I think that's better than cycling the Unearth here and hope to put something good into my graveyard with it. Fatal Push would also be really, really nice here. Yeah, let's Surveil, get more cards in the yard. For this second Murktide, Graveyard Trespasser. Yeah, let's graveyard that, and now I can unearth that one. Can even chump with it if need be. They look at the top card of my deck. We'll see what it is. Hopefully a Fatal Push is the ideal draw. We're on their end step, so they could Kozilek's Command me. I do have Force up for that, though. I think I have to do it, too. Because, yeah, they get to Scry X, draw X, and deal me enough to put me down to 1. So, let's get rid of the second Murktide. Unfortunately, counter that, and untap. They draw a card. I do find a Fatal Push. So, not awful. Let's go ahead and reanimate this Graveyard Trespasser, hitting Basking Brood Scale. Then just go ahead and attack for 6 and pass. So I'm 1 point short of lethal next turn. But I guess they could sacrifice this Haywire Mite to save themselves anyways. We'll see what they play here. Just making more spawns, dealing me a couple more damage. But I'm not too worried about a second Mox Opal. Third Mox Opal, also not the end of the world. Maybe I can get them into a bad attack here. Walking Ballista, on the other hand, is going to spell the end for me here. So let's just scoop it up. Do that one. Go into game number 2. See what we can get done. So, definitely want the Engineered Explosives. Definitely want the Stern Scoldings. Don't think I want Spell Pierce. Don't think I want... Well, how good is Spell Snare? So these are the cards I'm looking at that maybe I don't need. Force of Negation. Definitely want this Toxic Deluge as well. I need to cut 4 cards here. I think I'd like to keep in 1 Graveyard Trespasser. Consign? Oh. Definitely want the Consign. So definitely can cut the Spell Snares. Probably want to cut the Force of Negations as well. Cling to Dust, I don't think is a necessity. So let's cut that. And yeah, maybe cutting the Graveyard Trespasser is just okay. It's not incredible against them. They're not like reanimating anything. This looks pretty good. I kind of have a lot to bring in against them, so let's ship this. Hopefully draw a lot of sideboard cards and get it done. This hand is not great. 1 lander with 3 uncastables is going to be a mulligan. This is better. So let's keep this. Send back one of the frogs? I think one of the frogs, yeah. If they do have a removal spell for it, I can always just unearth it. And I think the upside of keeping an unearth in order to get a turn 2 Oculus or maybe a turn 3 Oculus is pretty darn good here. They go for an Ancient Stirring, so a much slower start so far, but I guess we'll see if they're backing it up with like a Mox Opal or anything like that. They do get a Mox Opal, but they're not playing it this turn. So I will Thought Scour myself, find an Oculus, which is not bad. I do have the Unearth for it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and I think fetch a Watery Grave here, play a Psychic Frog, and pass the turn. I have Engineered Explosives should they play a bunch of 1 or 0 drops. I have a pretty quick clock with Oculus and Unearth and a Frog. There's a Mishra's Bauble, so they can look at what I've got going on next. They can also have that Mox Opal online and get a little bit ahead on mana. There's an Urza's Saga. So it's looking like EE on 0 is probably going to be the move here. They go for a Rumble, finding another Saga, a Soul Guide Lantern, which is pretty annoying, actually. Although I guess I can just get big with this Frog. They take the Soul Guide Lantern. They play it, exiling a card from the yard. Are they deciding whether they want to crack it? No, they're cracking Baubles. Sure. So I have a couple options here. I can explosives for 0 and crack it. That would blow up these 3. That doesn't seem great just yet. Let's just get in with the frog. They want to chump. I suppose that's okay. They do want to chump. And so I think I'll just pass. Not a ton I can do here. They're doing a good job of slowing me down. Saga ticks up 2, so they're probably just going to start making tokens. I will just cycle one of these unearths, try and find more lands. There's one. I just cast Oculus now, but it's kind of likely they go off and just combo on the next turn if I do that. They make an artifact. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would have to discard 1, 2, 3 cards, or 1, 2, 3 cards to eat their guy. Oh, 5, so 4 cards. But I guess I'm okay discarding 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3. I don't know what I would discard. I'd also just play explosives for 0, and then if they do go to block, yeah, let's do that. If I play explosives for 0, and they go to make a token, I can just blow up everything then. And then they can't block my guy. So let's go with that play. Attack with the frog. Okay, so they are making the token, so let's just blow up explosives. They crack the bauble. That's fine. Destroy these 2. Hit them for 1. Start drawing cards with this frog. Find a consign. Very good one there. And pass. They want to make another Saga token. I can just push it. And then I can Watery Grave, play Oculus, and still hold up a consign. Okay. They're just going for mana. We'll see what they get. Maybe a Pithing Needle on the frog. No, just a Blade of the Blood Chief. Sure. Mox Opal. That's fine, I guess. It is pretty annoying. A very, very nice addition to that deck. Just giving them a little bit more explosiveness. Springleaf Drum, don't care about that one. Ancient Stirrings is fine as well. Another Urza Saga. Sure. That's a plan, but it's a pretty slow plan. Another Ancient Stirrings, sure. This time finding a Kozilek's Command. So that's going to be one I probably try to consign. Should they tap out for it? Let's untap. Draw a card. Find a counter spell. Go ahead and attack. I'd like to find another card to discard that isn't any of these ones. Stern Scolding, I think, is worse than Consign and Push. So let's discard that one. Play this and just play an Oculus. Kind of invalidating their Soul Guide Lantern. This is going to help me clock them a little bit faster. And I have quite a bit of interaction now. We'll get... doesn't really matter between these two. They're playing a Basking Brood Scale. So do I consign this? Or do I push it? I think I just push it. Consign is overall going to be better, probably. When they go to equip. Possible they have a Veil of Summer, though. So I guess I wait, because they can't... if they pay 2 to adapt, then they can't Veil of Summer. So I let them equip, and then untap. That's not the worst one. So let's go ahead and attack with everything. Draw a card. Find a frog. Pass the turn. Okay, so if they go to adapt on end step, I just push. If they go to crack the Soul Guide Lantern, I can push. If they Veil, I have counterspell for it. They have 3 cards in hand. One is a Kozilek's Command. They do nothing on end step. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 mana next turn. They can adapt more than once. Basically just giving them infinite mana, but I have Consign to counter that. I guess I could just push now. If they go to adapt, I can kill it. If they go to Veil, I can counter the Veil. And if they go to... yeah, I can just consign the first trigger of whenever cards are put on it. So yeah, let's just push that. See what option they go for. Veil of Summer will counterspell that one. Push goes off. Counter there, but now I can play this, discard frog, unearth frog, and hold up consign for the Kozilek's Command or anything else they should do. They exile my graveyard. That's fine. Honestly, forgot about that. I don't think it matters too much here. Down to 11 minutes on the clock, but Feeling pretty good about this game, too. Manifest Dread. Get a Murktide Regent under there. They're making a Construct, which seems pretty darn good for me. See what they're fetching. Basilisk's Collar. Sure. They're tapping mana for something, possibly to equip, but I think this one is just over. I don't think there's anything they can do. I have this consign up as well. And yeah, that is it for game number 2. Let's go to the third one. Is Harbinger good enough as just like killing Urza Saga? I don't think so. I think I have enough answers to Urza Saga, so let's just resubmit. On the draw, looking for a nice hand here. This is not exactly a nice hand. They start with 7, I'm going to 6. And I think this has to be a keep, although it is a bit unfortunate. I'll put back Counterspell. We'll see what they do on turn 1. They go for a Ghost Vacuum, sure. And a Mishra's Bubble. And a Mishra's Bubble. Opal? No Opal, it looks like. They are going to draw a couple cards, so maybe they find one, though. I am looking for lands. Find another Psychic Frog. That is not quite a land. Definitely need one now. But my hand isn't great or too bad against a Ghost Vacuum, so I'm not worried about that. Just have to dodge some other good stuff. And find a land, really. Finding a land is the most important thing I can do right now. They play a Darksteel Citadel. That's fine. Blade of the Blood Chief. Gonna let that one go, because I do have the Engineered Explosives for it. I'm gonna fetch, really just looking for any land here. Undercity Sewers to Surveil. Frog right into the graveyard. Untap. Can we find a land? Cannot find a land. Do find a Consider, and I think I'm gonna fire it off just to not fall behind. Still not finding a land is awful for me here, though. We'll see if they play a Flesh Raker. They play something else. Not looking great for the home team. They play a Boseiju into an Ancient Stirrings. Into a Cavern of Souls, sure. Okay, so they're not doing a ton. So, gonna have time. Suppose I will Thought Scour myself. Really just need to find a land. Find it, finally. And I will just pass, holding up a couple pieces of interaction here. They get rid of another one of my cards with their Ghost Vacuum. Play a Cavern. Fine. Play a Brood Scale. Uncounterable. That's fine as well. Though they should have tapped the Eldrazi Temple for it. So let's go ahead and fetch Watery Grave and just push this. Even if we get Veiled here, kind of just have to use my mana efficiently. First creature down. And find an island. So, I could play Big Murktide, or I could play Frog. I think it's probably just Big Murktide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, there's no Undercity Sewers left in the yard for me. Hold up a consign here. They target their own Brood Scale with the Ghost Vacuum. I guess they're getting pretty close to that, so I might just have to blow everything up next turn. Hopefully I can find a land before I do that, though. Second Cavern. They'll draw. Oh, Construct this time. I guess that's for Walking Ballista. They play a Brood Scale. Sure. So they have infinite counters on their Brood Scale, but only one card in hand. I can also consign that. Consign the counter. And then that stays small. And they can't do anything this turn. Yeah, let's do that. They also can't Veil this way. And then I can just play the Explosives next turn. The question is, do I have to pop it? And I think I do have to pop the Explosives right away. Because otherwise, if they have a land, they can Ghost Vacuum. And that's pretty terrifying. I suppose I hold back the Murktide this turn in case they have another Blade. But that's just so bad. I could 8 them. They take 8, go to 12. Next turn, I don't have lethal anyway, so I don't think it even changes the clock. So yeah, let's just pass. A little bit unfortunate, but don't want to die. Eldrazi, Fleshraker's fine. As long as they don't have the blade. Walking Ballista for 0. Sure. Don't know what the point of that is. I take 2, though. And they pass. Alright. Now I'll attack. And then pass the turn. I would need 4 instants and/or sorceries in my graveyard to kill them with a Murktide next turn, which is definitely possible if I draw 1. They Kozilek's Command. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, they can have the 1/1. Only for 2. I would take 1, 2 more. So go down to 11. Then they hit me for 5. I think I'm just saying okay to this, and then countering if they find something really good. We'll see where they put it. Hopefully, well, I can't even counter creatures. 2 on the bottom. I take 2 more. Hopefully just some lands for my opponent. Ancient Stirrings, so I say okay to that one, because whatever it ends up being, I can just counter anyway, unless it's a creature, in which case I don't care too much. I guess it could also be an Urza Saga, but I think Saga's going to be too slow here. The Kozilek's Command, like, yeah, I can counter that one. They play another Darksteel Citadel. Gonna have to counter this Kozilek's Command because it is for so much here. Maybe I can find a land, though. Looks like they're firing it off on upkeep. That is gonna mean I can't attack anymore. Very tight game here. Very, very close. That's getting countered. I take 1, go to 5. Sink into the Stupor. I think what I want to do here, well, so I can shock this in, and then I die to any creature, or I can just pass, hope they brick 1 turn, and kill them next turn by exiling my whole graveyard with a frog. Yeah, I think I just have to hope they miss for 1 turn, right? Because I can't kill them with the frog this turn. This is an 8/8, and it needs to get up to 12. I'm 1 short. Okay. Don't kill me this turn. Is what I need. Bobble doesn't do it. Okay. They look at the top card, and that only gives them a card on their turn, so, or on my turn, so a lot less things that can kill me here. See what I find, an unearth. So I will play the frog, go to combat, attack with this. They don't block, so discard 1, put a counter, discard 2, put a counter, discard 3, put a counter, exile 1, and that'll do it. Okay. Very close match against Brood Combo, but did get it done in the end. Played pretty tight and played to my outs. But, oh, that was a stressful one. I'll be back for match number 2. Match 2 currently getting started now. 1-0 so far in the challenge. Hoping to keep that going. Hopefully on the play here. Let's see. Not quite on the draw. Up against Burn Man. Hopefully not playing against Burn, as I have no experience in that matchup. But we'll see. All right, we have a hand on the draw here. Looks like opponent kept 7 cards. Think I'm going to keep this as well, although 2 unearths with the Oculus already in hand isn't great. Do have some interaction, but it is a little bit slow. I think it is still worth a try. Hopefully I can find a way to get this Oculus into the graveyard. Frog would be ideal. That way I can unearth it. See what opponent does on turn 1. Sacred Foundry, so looking like Boros, which is a bit brutal. Do I have to fetch Shock to kill this Pride? Honestly, I think I should. I just don't want to give them a cat here. Plus, if they play like another Pride, then I'm just so far behind. I gotta at least try and stay at parity with them. They go for a fetch, plains, Guide of Souls, and another Pride, okay. So pretty scary stuff. They have a lot of power and a lot of energy, and I kind of have nothing going on. Really need to find a way to get an Oculus into the graveyard. I can try and get one with the Undercity Sewers. I think that's what I have to do. Find a counterspell. That's not quite it. I can consider here. Hopefully they don't do too much more, but I'm feeling pretty behind on board. They just keep piling on stuff behind this. It's going to be pretty hard for me to win. Although no counters is good. Nothing pre-combat. So I'll take 3. Need to find maybe a frog. Need to not get blood mooned here, although that is kind of what it feels like is going to happen. I see a basic plains, I'm very worried. Might be going to game 2 pretty quickly here. I don't think I can beat a blood moon right now. Graveyard Trespasser into the graveyard. Do I find basic swamp? I do not. Do not find force either. Let's go to game 2. Maybe should have mulliganed. Oh well. Hopefully we can get the next 2. So these are the 5 cards I want here. And I want to go down, I think, the Spell Pierce. And what else isn't great here? I can go down some amount of Consider. I don't think it's incredible here. And I can probably go down 1, maybe 2 Force of Negation, maybe go down to 1 Force. Good against Blood Moon. Actually, probably just want to go down a couple Counterspell. It's a little bit slow, and I have so many other counters I'm bringing in. And I think the Force is going to be good because if I tap out for either a Wrath or a big creature, then I can still force away a Blood Moon or a removal spell. So I think let's go for that. Still boarding out one Consider. Haven't played this matchup a ton since the bans have happened, but before that it felt like a really bad one. Hoping it's a little bit better now, but we'll see, I guess. I think this is a good enough hand. I do have a Frog on turn 2 with a Force of Negation to back it up. We'll see what my opponent plays. Probably a 1-drop. A Ghost Vacuum. Do I want to force a Ghost Vacuum? Or do I just not care and I want to go for this Frog? I don't think Ghost Vacuum is incredible here. Let's just let him have it. Save Force for a removal spell or a Blood Moon. Just try and get this Frog going. Keep a second one, I believe. Go ahead and fetch Basic Island in case of a Blood Moon later. Slam a Frog, and just try and get ahead on board, really. Okay, they exile a Polluted Delta, that's fine. Guide of Souls is also fine. And nothing else. That's pretty good for me. Untap. Draw a card. Get in with the Frog. They don't block. Makes sense. So I will draw a card. See what I can find. Swamp. Not the worst one. So let's just go ahead and do that. Play a second Frog out and pass. And feeling very, very ahead. Very strong here. They exile my Misty. That's fine. Even if they go for an Ocelot Pride, that doesn't do a ton. They find a land, which is a bit annoying. But still hard to feel bad about my position. And they go for an Elegant Parlor, wow. So pretty slow start. Put a Blood Moon into the graveyard. And they do have the Pride, which makes sense. That's fine. I will consider looking for an Engineered Explosives. Fatal Push is pretty good, too. We'll definitely keep that one. Untap. Draw a card. I think I'm gonna main phase Consider, because if I find EE, it's just over. Put a Watery Grave into the graveyard. Go to combat. Attack with both frogs. They block one, sure. I'll draw a card. Spell Snare is a nice one. Let's go ahead and play out the Bloodstained Mire. Let's just kill this main phase. And pass the turn. Holding up some counter spells. They get rid of a Fatal Push. Can also Surveil. Should start pumping these frogs pretty soon just to kill them before they can get like a Flage or something annoying down. They go for an Ajani. That is getting snared, definitely. This might just be it for them. That might be the nail in the coffin. Still no land. I will take 1 damage. You can have another cat. That's fine. They did find a land. It was just a tapped one. They put a Flooded Strand into the yard. Sure. So let's fetch. And I still have a Surveil land, I believe. Yep. So I'll do that. Graveyard Trespasser on top. Let's go to combat. Get in. I'm okay with a chump. Sure. I will draw a card. Should have discarded this Thought Scour beforehand, because I think I'm going to do it anyway. Well, I guess now I'll just go for a push on that. And an Oculus, exiling every card in my yard, and I should have lethal next turn. One of these is not clicked. Consider now. Okay. Yep, that's going to do it. So, pretty bad draw for them, game 2. Pretty bad draw for me, game 1. On the draw, I think Counterspell just gets even worse, so let's just board that out. On the draw for game number 3, hoping to get it done. This is a good hand, though. This is one way to do it. They kept 7, but are starting off with a tap land. Put a discharge into the yard, so maybe looking for more lands, that is. I think I'll just go ahead and play the Dark Slick Shores. Go for a Thought Scour on myself. Try and get some big stuff into play right away. Guide of Souls, sure. And they pass. So, mill myself, find nothing good, and draw my second Undercity Sewers. Do find a Spell Snare. That's not incredible here. They have a Blood Moon. Might just be game over. And I think it's not worth it to try and play around it. Swamp into the graveyard. So getting worse and worse against a Blood Moon. I don't think there's a ton I can do about that. See what they get. Probably another Elegant Parlor. It is, so that tells me it's probably not Blood Moon. They probably want to get planes, if that is the case. Fetch right away. Maybe going for a Seasoned Pyromancer. Just a Flage, so let's push in response. So they don't get an energy or a life. I'll take 3, and they can most likely escape that Flage next turn. I do have a push for it, though. Let's go for another Undercity Sewers. I think just Graveyard a consider and pass. We'll see if they just fetch and Flage. No fetch. The Showdown of the Scalds. Okay, so looking for a way to replace Ring in that deck. They find an Arena of Glory, Graven Charm, a Discharge, and a Mountain. So, some castables, but not at all as scary as a Ring. Let's cycle and unearth. Find a counterspell, which is a real nice one here. And a frog. But they have multiple removal spells. Although I guess... So I think I'm just going to hold the frog for now. Play a Watery Grave tapped and pass. I have this counterspell for the Flage until the end of their next turn. So after this turn, these all go away. They play the Arena of Glory. Are they going to Thraben Charm me? I think I'm okay with that. I don't have anything too great in the graveyard. It's going to be pretty easy to get back up to 6 if I do top deck an Oculus too. So if they want to just Thraben Charm me, I'm fine with that. Seasoned Pyromancer. Does that deserve a counterspell? I think so. And then they go ahead and exile my whole graveyard. I'm fine with. Okay, these go away. I draw an Otawara. So if they want to Flage, I guess I don't really want to play the frog out. I just want to, well, I could play the frog, play a land, discard 1, 2 cards, 1, 2, keep Unearth in case they kill the frog, and then I can get it back. Yeah, that seems okay. Play out this land so I have a way to get Revolt and kill Flage. Showdown of the Scalds is gone. They play a Flooded Strand. That's fine. And a Chained to the Rocks. Otawara could target my own stuff, but not right now. Okay. I can bounce that on their end step eventually, which will give me the chance to draw another card. Hopefully can find a Graveyard Trespasser here or an Oculus. Just some more threats are really what I'm looking for. Flage is pretty annoying, but I am, I suppose, ahead on cards now. Looks like they're going for the Flage. Gosh, if I had a... No, just another Showdown of the Scalds. Okay. So they find 3 lands and a Seasoned Pyromancer. Sure. Kind of annoying, but not incredible. Just cycle and unearth. Find a Toxic Deluge. That's a pretty good one. To just kind of clean up after they drop a lot of stuff. And then I'll just pass. Can't really find a way to Oculus this turn. Both of my Surveil lands gone already, which is a bit annoying. They fetch. They're going to have 2 Flages ready as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. But next turn, I'm going to get to go pretty hard, I think. They had Johnny. I'll snare that one, definitely. Find a good use for this snare, fill up my graveyard a little more. They can Spyro now. They play another Arena of Glory. But if they drop a bunch of creatures this turn, then I can just go for the Deluge next turn. So, not the worst for me. Looks like they're giving something haste. Not sure exactly what. Probably this season Pyromancer. Sure. Discard 2. A Flage, or discard 1. It's another Flage. Sure. Is a little bit annoying if I find a Graveyard Trespasser. I'll take 2 here. Not the biggest deal. And they don't cast anything else. I guess playing around a Wrath correctly. I find another land, which I think I'm going to hold to discard to a frog. Just go ahead and pass the turn. They can put some counters on some stuff if they choose to play spells, which they probably will. They play a land. They're exerting an Arena of Glory. Looks like escaping a Flage as well, which is fine. They make their guys a bit bigger. I'm taking a ton of damage here. Need to find something fast. These Flages are just slowly getting out of control. Okay, take 3. Fetch. Hidden Island. I guess past to beginning of combat now. Kill the Flage. They attack. I guess I just bounce the elemental token. Get that out of the way. Take a couple less damage. See if they commit a little more, although I really, really need a way to get rid of these Flages. I don't think I have one. I need counter spells as well. What are they doing here? Thraben Charm. Exile my graveyard. Sure. And, yeah. Okay, make a 3/3. So, I think I'm just dead now. Not a ton I can top deck here. Graveyard Trespasser is good, but not good enough, because they just escape another Flage. Counterspell doesn't do it. I guess Thought Scour is a start. I think I'm actually out of counterspells here. Okay. So, looks like that's just going to be it. Let's go to the next match. Energy, still not the best matchup. Showdown of the Scalds is a weird one, but it worked. I guess, oh, all right. It wasn't incredible, but yeah. The Seasoned Pyromancers and the Flages did get it done in the end. Feel like I didn't draw incredibly well. Maybe I could have played a little bit better, but I don't think it was the closest of matches, especially with this hand remaining. Go to the next one. Round number 3 on the play. Let's jump right into it. Got a pretty solid hand. Probably going to lead off on an Undercity Sewers. Don't need to hold up the Thought Scour. Not trying to mill towards an Unearth or anything like that. And then I will go with a turn 2 Frog, either fetching a basic island or maybe something else, depending. I also can hold this Thought Scour if I really want to pitch the Force of Negation. See if my opponent keeps or mulls. They go down to 6 cards. So we'll start with an Undercity Sewers Spell Snare against an unknown opponent. I think I'm going to graveyard that. Just fill it up a little bit. I'm going to likely tap out for the Frog next turn regardless, so just get that out of the way. They play a Xander's Lounge, so some type of domain deck, it would appear. I find a counterspell, so let's just fetch basic island here. No, I probably should have just played the Watery Grave untapped so that I can hold up a second Surveil land next turn if I want to. But this is alright too. So we'll slam the Frog on turn 2. See what opponent does. So they have the Temple Garden. They go for a Leyline Binding, tapping 2 when they only needed to tap 1. Let's go ahead and exile this Thought Scour to counter it. Either Rhinos or the Omnath deck here. I think having played the Force of Negation, now I'm going to want to hold up Counterspell this next turn. But we'll see what I draw. So I don't think I'm going to want a fourth land. So let's just discard this for an extra damage now. Hit for 2. Play a Misty. Draw a card and pass. See if they play some Rhinos here. Or if they do something else. Maybe go for another Leyline Binding. Wrenn and 6. Do I care about that at all? I don't think so. They play a fetch land, I care a little more, but I can just kill it with this. They fetch. Getting tapped Elegant Parlor, sure. So this can't be creativity, so it's gotta just be like the Omnath deck. They get back a Wooded Foothills. I will go ahead and mill myself with a Thought Scour. Find a Murktide. Fetch Undercity Sewers. Surveil. Graveyard Trespasser goes, I think, into the graveyard. I kind of want that fourth land, so kind of wishing I didn't discard it here. But we'll see if I can find it. That's not a fourth land, but it is a unearth. So do I want to unearth a frog or unearth a graveyard trespasser? Also, how bad do I want to kill the Wrenn and 6? I think I want to kill the Wrenn and 6. So let's pitch frog and pitch Murktide and hack Wrenn and 6. It takes 4. I will draw a card. This card is busted. Find a Consider. Now let's just unearth, I think, just the Graveyard Trespasser. Hit the Delighted Halfling to drain them for 1. And pass. Encounter an Omnath here. Or a Flage. Yeah, I think I'm just going to counter that. And then just eat it with the Graveyard Trespasser. Pass the turn. They find a Windswept Heath. So if they have another binding, they can kill something. They're going for it on upkeep. So let's just get in. Kill the Flage, or exile the Flage. Deal them 1. I think I want to keep Spell Snare for now. Draw a card. Oculus. So what is the likelihood they run Wrath main deck? Pretty sure they don't. Like, they just absolutely do not run. Okay. They're scooping to me playing an Oculus. I guess it would have been better. I would have found that counterspell. But let's see, what do we want? I think we want to keep the Fatal Pushes. So let's see, what are my options to board out? Force of Negation could be okay to board out. Spell Snare is probably getting boarded out. Well, what do I even want to board in, though, is the question. Let's just board in the Harbingers. And do I want Mystical Disputes? I honestly don't think so. I could board in Consign. It's good against Leyline Binding, but I think that's it. Maybe I just want to board out. I think just a couple Force of Negation, although I guess they're gonna have Tefiris. They run Green Suns as well. Yeah, let's keep that in and board out 1 push. I don't want to draw too many of those. Keep in all the threats. Harbinger seems good. And I guess I could board out a Consider instead of the push. They do have a lot of, like, turn 1 elves. Or Force. It's between I'm considering Force and a Consider to board out here. I think a Consider. I did board in some Thoughtseize. Let's keep 2 Force of Negations. See what they have. They're probably going to board in Mystical Disputes as well, but I don't think that means I have to board in my Mystical Disputes. They're one blue card that I really want to counter Omnath. Also, doesn't get countered super easily, especially if they have a Delighted Halfling. Opponent is on the play. Very strong hand here for me. Feeling pretty good about this right now. I can go turn 1 Spell Pierce on whatever they may play. If it's like a Renin 6 or something. Although if they play the turn 1 Halfling, the Spell Pierce isn't as good, but they're playing a tap land because they are a domain deck. They have a lot of those. They get some value with them, but overall not incredible. I'm gonna want to fetch a swamp at some point because I have this Harbinger. So let's just lead on, well, I guess having drawn Misty, I can lead on the Misty now and Surveil should they not do anything, and I can also get Basic Island if they do. Happy to Spell Pierce a Green Suns for 0. Happy to Spell Pierce a Renin 6. And I'll Surveil. Find a Thought Scour. Okay. Let's keep that. And let's just go ahead and shock in a Watery Grave and pass. I kind of want them to start fetching their non-basics so that I can hit them with this Harbinger out of nowhere. They tap out for like Teferi or something here. Okay, they're getting basic planes. They're playing around it, but they're not going to have domain as easily. Wooded Foothills. And just passing. Okay. So I'll Thought Scour myself. Find a Bloodstained Mire. And a Harbinger. So let's get basic Swamp with the Bloodstained Mire. Play a Psychic Frog. See if they counter this. Or what they try and do. They go for a Stomping Ground, untapped. And Endurance. That's fine. I don't know what the point in Endurancing now is. They can shuffle my graveyard in. I will go ahead and discard a Harbinger, and I think just unearth it. Alright. You have to tap 4 for a Leyline Binding this turn, unless you have another basic. And if you do that, I can just play another Harbinger, plus hold up Spell Pierce for the next one, and try and lock them out of the game this way. So, yeah, not sure what this Endurance was all about, but didn't seem to work very well. Feeling in charge of this game right now. I hate when my opponents are thinking, especially when I already have a full plan, but I guess they couldn't do anything about it. So that's a pretty quick win. Very nice. 2-1. Let's just win the rest of the matches and hopefully make top 8. If not, top 16 is fine, top 32 is fine. Get some prizes, but I want to see how far I can take this deck. Very fun, very good. See you in the next one. Time for match number 4 here on the play. Let's get it done. This is a, I think, keepable hand. Probably going to lead off on the Consider. Just to make sure I can find a second land, rather than Thought Scour to try and unearth something really nice. I think it's better to just hit my land drops, and then I can Thought Scour plus unearth the turn after, or double Thought Scour, or Fatal Push something. We'll see what my opponent plays. That's really going to determine what I do. They start on a Stomping Ground, tapped. So not sure what this is. could be a variety of things. Some Eldrazi deck with a pretty slow start. Counterspells going directly into the graveyard. Find another Unearth. So, target myself with Thought Scour. Find an Otawara, which is a solid draw. Can Thought Scour myself again. If I find a third land, I can go Frog, discard Oculus, Unearth, for a pretty nice turn 3. Looks like my opponent is still not 100% sure what they're on. Maybe creativity. They go for a Paw Patch formation in response, which I'm all right with, because if I find that land now, it's going to be pretty nice. Don't find the land, unfortunately. Can just run out of Frog and pass the turn. See what my opponent does. Faithless Looting is annoying but fine. Hopefully not getting Archoned here. We'll probably just lose the game on the spot if that happens. I don't think I can beat it. But not. Not getting Archoned. Very good. Very good, very good, very good. So I'm really hoping to find another land still. They push my Frog, which that one's fine. I guess I could have discarded the Oculus, but I think I'm okay to just play another Frog here. Or honestly, I'm just going to unearth the Frog so that I can pitch a Frog to Force of Negation, which is honestly a pretty good draw. It gives me the opportunity to tap out for a creature and not have to hold up Fatal Push for the creativity. Okay. They probably have to go for it here. We'll see, though. They could also get Surveil Land plus looting, possibly. They get the Dwarven Mine. Makes sense. I have the Force, though. So, yeah, let's Force of Negation. Pitching a Psychic Frog. Oof. The food means next turn I'm gonna have a bit of trouble stopping one. That's one way to do it. Let's discard Oculus. Reanimate Oculus. And hopefully can find a counterspell here. Or like a Spell Pierce. I am gonna exile 1, 2, 3... Oh, 1, 2, 3 lands from my graveyard to make sure I can draw a card here. And so this is 3 damage that puts them down to 14. Next turn, it's an additional 1, 2, 7. I would need to get this up to a 7-power creature, which isn't going to happen, so let's not discard yet. They also will have the opportunity to crack the food for life if they want. Find a land, not super helpful. But I can stop them from creativitying for 2. And I would have to find basically Shoot the Sheriff or... Okay, another Frog is nice. Shoot the Sheriff or... the other whatchamacallit. Sink into the stupor. Sink into stupor? Think just stink. Sink into stupor, not stink into stupor. Is this a Thoughtseize? Fatal Push on my Frog. Sure thing. I got another one. Into... So the Fatal Push isn't doing a ton here. Just gonna flip this on end step. Don't really need to fire off a Fatal Push. Right, are they going for another creativity? That would be pretty scary. Kind of surprised they didn't target the Oculus with the Fatal Push, but maybe it is another creativity. We'll see. Wish I had a counterspell in hand instead of one of these Fatal Pushes, but I would assume this is a pretty good matchup. Okay, they're passing. So I will flip up this frog, untap. What is this? They're paying life for Dismember? Bitter Triumph on my Oculus, sure. So I find another Oculus. I think I'm going to start with a Surveil and then try and hit a counter spell. Psychic Frog. Don't want that one. Let's push here. Attack. Not going to give it flying because they could Paw Patch Formation and kill it. Find an Unearth. So don't have the counter spell even if I wanted to, so I guess I just have to fire this off and hope to kill them next turn. Hope they have nothing. Archon would be pretty annoying. Force of Negation would have been another nice one to draw here. Looks like a Creativity. No, just a Bitter Reunion, but still scary, because they could haste an Archon if they have a Persist. And there's the Archon into the yard. Do they have the Persist? One last check. This doesn't look like a Persist. It's a Wrenn and 6. Okay. Are they plussing? They're getting a land back. I guess they have a land drop here. Is that the one they got back? I think they got a Bloodstained Mire. So yeah, they're gonna attempt to block with a whatchamacallit, a little token guy. So I will just attack with everything. Attack them with everything. Feel like I've gotten a little bit lucky here, or maybe they've just had a mediocre draw. Okay, they make a dwarf. I kill the dwarf. They crack food. I have... Do I have 10 damage? 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I do. So if they crack the food, I can pitch the other cards in my hand. To hit them for exactly lethal. Let's just do that. Kill our opponent. Draw a card trigger on the stack. And win game 1. Cool. So for the sideboard... Ooh, Engineered Explosives actually seems kind of nice here. Just board that in over the Fatal Push. Graveyard Trespasser is just okay. Shoot the Sheriff is probably good. Spell Snare isn't really what I want, I don't think. Harbinger, also probably pretty good. Maybe Murktide. Yeah, I don't think I love Murktide. It's a big guy, but it doesn't really help against the cards I need it to. And then I can go down a couple Fatal Pushes. I think Harbinger is just a better threat here than Murktide. I don't know how good Graveyard Trespasser is either. Maybe it's just worse than Fatal Push. Maybe I want 3 pushes, but I don't think so. I think that's far too many. Keeping the Spell Pierce, all the counter spells, all the forces. This blows up everything in response to a Indomitable Creativity, so I think that's pretty good. Keeping the Unearths for fast stuff. And, wow. I do not have really any dedicated Graveyard hate, just the Cling to Dust and Graveyard Trespassers in the main. But I think this looks pretty good on the draw for game number 2. Get it done. Well, double mono blue land, but my life total doesn't matter a ton, so I think I will keep this. I also have the EE to get some stuff done. They have a Leyline of the Void. I do have double sync, and I also have 2 frogs to kind of invalidate their Grave Hate. They go for a Thoughtseize, it looks like. Okay, so very interactive hand here from my opponent. Probably taking... I really don't know. Really need to dodge a Renin 6 on turn 2. They take one of the Psychic Frogs, so presumably they have a removal spell for the other one, and they're kind of picking apart my Frog game plan. So, okay. That's a pretty good one. I can counter the Renin 6. Oop, don't want to yield through this turn. They fetch untapped. They're down to 12 already. So I can throw a lot into this. They're going to be real upset that I top-decked this Spell Pierce. Very nice draw from me. Need to make sure this frog sticks around, though. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for me to win. Draw a Thought Scour. Let's just bolt in this land and pass. Play a couple cantrips. Play the control game. Play nice and slow. Don't have to do anything here. Let's consider. Like a Dark Slick Shores. And I'll Thought Scour myself. Don't want to mill an Archon into their yard. Find another counterspell. Cool. So I draw a Misty, which is just okay. Let's go for Explosives on 0, I think. Just to have an answer up at any point for a creativity that isn't a counterspell. They are assuming they fetch a Surveil land. Put a Dwarven Mine into the yard. That's fine for me. Hopefully they're pretty flooded here. I don't really want to run out a Psychic Frog into removal. Honestly, kind of just holding on to this Psychic Frog until I find... I mean, I only have one more answer for the Leyline, which is pretty annoying. But, oh well. Just need to find more threats. Oculus is a dead card at this point. Let's just hold up double Counterspell. Or Counterspell plus Engineered Explosives. Maybe I should have held one of these Sopophoric Springs. Maybe they don't have removal. Maybe I can't wait on this frog, I just have to run it out. But if I play frog and they end step removal spell me, then I can't counter it. So I think it's okay to just wait here. They mill a Boseiju, so they're probably not... They probably don't have a ton of action right now. Blood Crypt, tapped or untapped? Tapped Blood Crypt. Sure. I will fetch a Surveil land. I think I'm keeping lands on top here. Once I get up to 6, I can safely play this frog. Definitely don't want that. Find a Force of Negation. Okay. That also, oops, lets me play the frog, because if they play a removal spell, I can counter it and then still have Force up for their creativity, should they have that. They push the frog. I will counterspell that. Do they have more? They do. Okay, so they were all pushes. So I'm looking for Graveyard Trespasser, I'm looking for Harbinger. They play a Fable. I will counter the Fable. Hopefully they don't have a Renin 6 as their last card. That would be brutal. And pitch the Oculus, which doesn't do a ton here. They have a Scalding Tarn. Fine. I draw another Engineered Explosives. And I think I'll just pass. No reason to play it out yet. Kind of a weird, slow top deck war. They don't fetch anything. If Bot sees me, take my counterspell. Go down to 8 life, though. Give me one of my good ones. Okay, that's a push. So, I mean, we're both just taking it easy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's still 2 mana off of hard casting an Archon if they were to top deck one. I find an Unearth. Let's just cycle it now in case I hit a fetch for a Surveil land. Find the last Fatal Push. Okay, so they are really in for it eventually. They pass it back to me. I draw Bloodstained Mire, which can get me my second Surveil land, as long as I haven't milled it over. No, I have not. Still in the deck. Nice slow game, nice fun game. Right, both of us with 3 cards in hand and a bunch of lands. I do have this Explosives on the battlefield. Undercity Sewers. Surveil. I mean, that's just a redraw, because I'm milling myself doesn't do much. Here. That is also just a redraw. Chuck it out there. Find a Cling to Dust. So, another cantrip, but maybe I want to hold that one in case they have something. They pass it back again. I think I'll just cling. I guess a Dwarven Mine. Draw a card. There's a counter spell. So I'm just loading up for the late game. Yeah, this one seems like it's going to go for a while. I'm not feeling awful about it. Wondering at what point should I run out this second engineered explosives? I mean, I doubt they're playing like Meltdown or any mass artifact removal against me. Also, just holding all their cards in hand. I find a Polluted Delta. That's going to most likely fetch Swamp, as long as I haven't got rid of that one, so that I still have black mana after I get a Harbinger of the Tides. They get Zeator's Proving Ground. Proving Ground. Boxing Ring. Faithless Looting. I think I just force that. Exile it. Get it gone for good. Otherwise, that's a lot of value that they can get out of it. Especially if they have a bunch of, like, dead cards in hand. Probably some amount of creativities, but I have a lot of ways to stop that right now. Let's fetch. Swamp. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 really good draws. A few mediocre draws. Thoughtseize would be fine, just to see what they're working with over there. Consider is solid. Let's run it out. Another Consider. Keep that. Consider again. Delta. Okay. More removal. They've drawn all of it now. I think I should just run out the explosives at some point. Opponent up to 6 cards in hand. Are they going for just, like, discard to hand size? Alright, let's redraw, I guess. Hopefully don't mill my good ones. Mill a couple of unimportant cards. I'm gonna run out the explosives now. I think they're going for discard to hand size here. Passing back to me yet again. I'll draw. Find an Oculus, which is a dead card. 20 cards left in my deck. Okay, so they play a mountain, so they're not just going for... They're not just going for the discard. Second leyline is fine. I am out of ways to remove the first one anyway. I'll untap. I think I thought scour them. If I mill one of my Harbingers or both, it's just like so brutal. Mill a Persist and a Wrenn and 6. Pretty happy about that. Find another Force of Negation. Really don't have a ton left in my deck other than cards that would be really good here. I have still 2 Frogs, 2 Harbingers, and 2 Graveyard Trespassers. Still not finding anything, although it seems like my opponent isn't either. Very draw-go game. I think we've been doing this since I had like 40 cards in my deck or something. They Thoughtseize me. I think I'm just going to counterspell that one. Okay. They're paying 3 mana for a Fable. I think I let that one go and just Fatal Push it. But maybe it's just better than a Indomitable Creativity at this point. Alright. Consider. Okay. Give me a Harbinger. Psychic Frog, I will take. Although, if they Fatal Push this one, I'm just going to let it go. Okay. No removal yet. They discard Archon plus 3rd Leyline. 7 cards in hand. Looks like a Persist. Okay. Well, this Oculus is never doing anything. Well, I guess it could be discarded, and I'm not playing all 3 of these anyway, so yeah, let's just hardcast the Force here. Opponent has Veil of Summer. Yikes. Okay. So they get the Archon back. I sacrifice, I discard. This does not have hexproof this turn, so I'll go ahead and kill it. Probably need to find Harbinger this turn, or Graveyard Trespasser, one of the two. And I think that's going to do it. I don't have another way to answer an onboard Archon. So, yep, finally find the Graveyard Trespasser, but just a little too late. I mean, we both had forever to sculpt our hands, but I will be on the play for game 3. Alright, is there anything I want to change here? I think I don't have anything else that helps against that stuff. Maybe I want to go down an Oculus for a Murktide, because I could hardcast this, although that's so bad. Yeah, I think I just roll with this, and hopefully don't get leylined on turn 1. Or if I do, hopefully they don't have the all removal for my all frog hand. Or maybe I can get a Harbinger down. Yeah, this is a good one. I have both my sinks. Yet again, they start with a leyline, just the one. So I will start with a Bloodstained Mire and pass the turn. Gonna fetch a Surveil land here. Are they Thoughtseizing me? Looks like it. Pretty annoying stuff. Guess I say okay. Could Thought Scour myself in response. Don't really want to, though. They probably just take Psychic Frog, and I'm down to basically nothing. Alright. They take the Frog, as expected. I will fetch Undercity Sewers. Force is good. I'll pass. Definitely have to force a Wrenn here. Second time top decking a counterspell to their Renin 6 after they Thoughtseize me on turn 1. Looks like they're going for a Renin 6. So yeah, I will get rid of the... Well, let me unearth Cycle first. Don't think I want that one this game. Find another unearth. I will counter the Renin 6. Untap. Find a Thought Scour. Play that untapped. Oh, wait. I think I should just do this now. I'm definitely not countering anything, and I don't want it to get Veil of Summered. Okay. They don't have a third land, so that's good for me. I find an Oculus and an Otawara. Didn't find anything to unearth, so let's just cycle that. Maybe find a fetch land here, or a Dark Slick Shores. Pass the turn. They have nothing. I find a counterspell. Wish this was a fetch land so I could go Oculus plus counterspell. But I'll just play it slow if they're discarding to hand size. They discard the ley line. I still cannot play this Oculus, so I'll just pass. Opponent plays a tapped Dwarven Mine. Sure. I find a Thoughtseize, so let's fire that off. Pretty good draw here. They Veil of Summer. I counterspell a Veil of Summer here. Or do I just run out an Oculus? I don't think I can just run out an Oculus. Yeah, let's counter that. They would have to top deck and have double Indomitable Creativity. They top deck a land now, it's real bad for me. Let's just take the Creativity. And then the following turn I can play Oculus plus hold up counterspell. Ugh, no, maybe I should have just taken the Fable. And prayed they didn't find fetch land. Alright, give me a Thoughtseize. Undercity Sewers doesn't do it. I guess I just want to bounce that so they don't get any more mana. Or I can play an Oculus. Yeah. Play the Oculus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And play Otawara, hold up, counterspell. Just hoping they don't find the nuts here. I will get a Watery Grave here. Would have loved to have a Shoot the Sheriff in hand right now. This is pretty scary stuff, though. I mean, they don't have the creativity, though, which is good. Any untapped land also would have been better here. But I think I'd really just have to hope that they can't get me. Play this Oculus out. Hope it does enough. In hindsight, it would have been better had I played it last turn. Okay. Discard probably 2 persists. Hopefully not an Archon. Very scared of that. Okay, 2 persists, go to the yard. Hopefully drawing an Archon now. Veil of Summer, very annoying. And did they find Creativity plus Veil of Summer? A Leyline of the Void. I mean, that's fine at this point. Right, I'll untap. Not the best one. Let's play Undercity Sewers. Considers on top. Put that into exile directly. And attack. 2-turn clock. Well, I guess unless they trade or chump. Pretty scary stuff here, though. Now they have to find the creativity this turn. I find nothing again. They flip their Saga. Creativity or bust. They have one draw step, essentially, to find it. Hey, Fable. I think I just want to counterspell that to get the Veil out of the way, because they can't creativity me this turn, right? Yeah, the most they can have is 3 mana, although it gives them another draw to find removal, so... Oh, please don't. They make a token. Big punt on my side. 1, 2, 3. Do they attack? They're deciding. They do attack. I think I block. I don't think it really matters, but block. Persist and 1 unknown. What is the last card? Surveilling means they probably don't have anything. They have something, they just fire it off, and that does it. Probably shouldn't have countered there. They got 1 extra draw, but oh my goodness, 3 and 1. What a match. That game 2 was insane. On to the 5th match, right? 3 and 1. Just about time to jump into round number 5. Let's get another good one going. Starting out on the draw with a very good hand. Let's go ahead and keep this and see what we're up against. Looks like another Boros opponent. Had to deal with this in round number 2. My 1 loss so far. Hopefully can redeem myself a little bit, but looking a little scary with no fatal push for me. Think just gonna go ahead and fetch basic island here. Take as little damage as possible to start. Hopefully not getting turn 2 Blood Mooned, as I don't think I can beat that. No blocks. Very unfortunate about this Ragavan. They hit a Thought Scour. Maybe mill me for 2. Probably mill themselves, if they want to cast it. It looks like they do. I guess I am okay with that, because it means they're not using that 3rd mana for anything else, although this Ragavan did essentially just draw them a card. Almost like a better Psychic Frog here. And mill them too, which is pretty good. So I think I'm going to Thought Scour myself to try and maximize the chances of being able to unearth something on turn 2, as well as just play out a island here. So I'll fetch for the basic island. It's kind of nice for me that my opponent is doing nothing here. Although it does mean if I slam this frog next turn, they probably have an answer. Still probably going to be the play, though. Maybe they're Mardu as well. I don't know if they run Ragavan that way, though. Right? Mill a Psychic Frog. So, do I want to play the frog or unearth a frog? I think I'm just going to play a frog, and next turn I can unearth and hold up Counterspell or Cling to Dust or Consider. Really have a lot of options. See what they do. Probably fetching a Surveil land, unless they want to just go ahead and Galvanic Discharge this a couple times. Ragavan, very annoying. I guess I could pitch my entire hand to stop that. Or not even my entire hand. I would get to keep a whole card. Right? They go for Sacred Foundry. And maybe Felia? Yeah, it could be Felia here. It is Felia. Okay. That's fine. So they can blink my Psychic Frog out of the way, so they have a blocker. Looks like they're discharging it. Let's discard Fling to Dust and probably Misty. Oh. Oh god, maybe this isn't the play. They can just blink it out of existence and it loses all its counters now. But I feel like I kind of was forced into it. Need to find a Oculus here. Yeah, now if they have a second one, I have no way of stopping any of this. I mean, I have a lot of good draws here. They find a Polluted Delta, which is good because that's not the best draw for me either. I get my frog back. And now they go ahead and Galvanic Discharge it. Jeez. Okay. Have to let that happen. So untap. Find a Bloodstained Mire. Consider. And I have to find something here. Fatal Push is definitely something. So let's fetch Basic Swamp so that I can be a little bit resilient to Blood Moon, if that is what they have. Go ahead and push that and unearth a frog. Hopefully they don't have third discharge here. Do have Cling to Dust as a way to answer Flage. Am I just getting Static Prisoned? No, it's a Guide of Souls. That's fine. I probably gotta let this Ragavan hit me, though, again, which sucks. And they might also have more stuff here. See what it is. Thraben Charm. Dealing 4 damage. I can't stop that. So it happens. I need to find an Oculus here. Yeah, pretty much just Oculus gets me out of this. Let's see what they hit. Consider. Okay, that's pretty annoying. They get to do that and try and find a land. I would have liked to draw Consider as well here. They Consider, though. Keep it on top. It's a Plains. Do they have a Pride? Jesus. Okay. Oculus? Not Oculus. Let's go to game 2. hopefully do a little bit better in that one. So I liked the Engineered Explosives, Toxic Deluge, and Stern Scoldings. Boarding out, probably, I think I did a Force of Negation, the Spell Pierce, and what else did I board out in the first one? I think a couple Considers. Oh, it's the counter spells. I think I want to keep in 2 counter spells though, for the grindier parts of the game where they have Flage. Although maybe that's just not the move. On the play, I think I'll keep 2, board like this, and ship it. Alright. Start off with a pretty weak hand, gonna have to send it back, hope for something better. This one is a keep, but not one I'm necessarily ecstatic about. They keep 7. I will put back probably Counterspell here. Go ahead and play Misty. Probably fetching a Surveil land to try and hit number 2. They fetch 4 basic planes and a Ghost Vacuum. I don't think I can afford to counter that here. I will just Undercity Sewers. Keep a Sink into the Stupor. Don't mind pitching this Thought Scour as much to the Psychic Frog now that I have limited access to my graveyard. Let's play that tapped, or untapped, excuse me. Play out the Psychic Frog, and hopefully just run away with the game with a frog and maybe a Graveyard Trespasser. They exile my Misty Rainforest, that's fine. Sacred Foundry. And Chain to the Rocks. Don't have a second one. I think I have to do this. I mean, I really am risking it all on this Psychic Frog, but I think I have to do so. Let's see what they do. When I attack with the frog, they say no blocks. Makes sense. Draw a card and unearth. Ugh. Really does nothing here. Let's just pass. They exile a force from my graveyard. They play an Ajani. So, do I want to kill the Guide of Souls? Or do I want to try and kill the Ajani? I think I just... If I kill Guide of Souls, then they have those 2. And I can just keep attacking through. If they keep the Guide of Souls, then it's gonna gain them a bunch of life, make their stuff bigger, and possibly run away with the game, so let's just get it out of there. I draw another Unearth, wishing I don't even know. These can both just get pitched to the frog, however. Do they block? They do. Let's discard there. Put a counter. Let it die, let them flip. Johnny. And Cycle and unearth, I guess. Do I play Scalding Tarn out this turn? Yeah, I think so. Try and fetch a Surveil land. They get rid of a Fatal Push from my graveyard. I'm fine with. They get an Elegant Parlor. Surveil an Arid Mesa into the yard. And we'll see what they have. So I really have to hope they don't have like a chain to the rocks for this, because then the Ajani's going to run away with the game. I need to keep the pressure on as much as I possibly can. Keep the card draw going as well with the frog, especially when they have a Ghost Vacuum. Do they have a removal spell, or is this a creature? Maybe another Ajani? It is Flage. Sure, where are they going with it? Targeting the frog, making me discard a card, but I'm quite okay with that. Okay, frog stays alive. They gain 3. And they pass. They did not activate that Ajani. They're probably going to now, but okay. They just plus it to keep it alive another turn. I will fetch an Undercity Sewers. Look at the top one. Do not want another Unearth. So let's attack a Johnny. Just leave that. Engineered Explosives is pretty good. So let's play this untapped. Play Explosives on 1. And play a Graveyard Trespasser. Exiling a Flage from the yard. See if they do it in response to stop my life gain. No, they're just getting rid of a force. I gain 1, you lose 1. And we'll see what they do next turn. And get rid of this Ghost Vacuum now, but it's not incredibly relevant. They have an Arena of Glory. And another Ajani. That's fine as well. They can put some counters on some cats. I can crack this Engineered Explosives, though, and kill the Ajani on this next turn. At least the first one. Okay, I'll draw. Find a Spell Snare. So that one's just going to get pitched to the frog to kill this Ajani. Attack Ajani. Pitch that. And exile 3 from the yard. Give it flying. I draw a card. Johnny goes to the yard. The Bloodstained Mire. I think that one just stays in my hand for more frog fodder. And let's pass for now. They target an unearth, so no creatures, so I don't have to pop this Engineered Explosives yet. Because they have nothing really relevant in the yard. They go to combat. No attacks. I think I will pop it now. Just get rid of this ghost vacuum. I target my engineered explosives, sure. It goes away. I untap. Draw a spell snare. Is good against Graven Charm, Morajani's, and Goblin Bombardment. Let's just get in with both. Exiling 1, 2. And get the frog up to 6 toughness. So they're just going to chump, though. That's fine. Their Ajani flips, but doesn't do a whole ton, even if it does. I will just pass the turn once again. Okay, so I can get it up to 7 toughness. I will do. Just keep the frog alive. How you win this. Hopefully they don't have a chain to the rocks. They just get to keep 3 energy here. We've gotten rid of 1 already. What is this? Another discharge? Wow. Oh my gosh. Yep. And they have an Ajani in play. It does kind of just have to keep chumping, but geez, some good draws from my opponent. Ay, ay, ay. It's just such a hard matchup. They find a Windswept Heath. Isn't great. I guess they're gonna try and find a Flage. Please, no Flage. Flooded Strand into the yard. I draw for turn. Find a Consider. Okay. So I will consider. Counterspell on top. I think that stays. Sakajani. Exiling. Discharge from your yard. The Graveyard Glutton is putting in some work here. And I do have 1 counterspell for the next very good thing. They make a 2/1 white cat warrior token. I find an unearth. A pretty good one. Let's go ahead and get in at a Johnny. Exiling just more stuff from their graveyard so that Flages are hard to escape. They, of course, block. I will unearth Psychic Frog and pass the turn. Opponent makes another Cat Warrior token. Passes the turn. I find yet another Graveyard Trespasser. So let's go at Johnny and at my opponent. And I am going to exile 2 cards from their yard and 3 from my own to give this flying. I just want to make sure I get the hit in this turn. I'd like to hold up Counterspell and play a Graveyard Trespasser. But the most important thing is I just keep getting ahead on cards right now. Keep pressuring them and their Ajani. They take 1. I draw a card. And I think I just go for lethal next turn. Get rid of the last 2 cards from their yard. and pass it over. They need something pretty good here. I really doubt they're running Wraths, especially against me. I feel like that's the sort of stuff I board in against them. They have Seasoned Pyromancer. Okay, that's not the worst. Put a Flage into the yard. They cannot escape it. They play a Ghost Vacuum. Make a Cat Warrior token. Dealing 3 to... So I think I want to push the cat and then discard my counterspell. Keep my frog alive. Okay, untap, draw. Find a swamp. So let's go frog at a Johnny, these two at you. Both targeting the Flage. Then I will discard this. The frog. They exile their own Flage. I will exile 3 cards from my yard to give the frog flying. See what they do now. Jump. Double block. Okay. So that's 1 Trespasser down. Opponent with 1 Ghost Vacuum, nothing else, 1 card in hand, versus my 3/4 Frog and Friend. I'm just gonna pass so that my Trespasser flips again, and I will consider as needed. See if my opponent just cracks the Ghost Vacuum here, or if they play something else. Static Prison, okay. Find Engineered Explosives. Let's put that into the graveyard. Find another frog. You can have the Static Prison. Targeting the frog. Makes sense. Gosh. Oh my god. Am I gonna lose this game? Maybe. It's unlikely, but possible. Let's go ahead and attack my opponent. I guess target a Johnny in my own graveyard trespasser so that they have to Ghost Vacuum now. And then I can try and Thought Scour into something else good. This also is more likely to drain them. They hit their own Johnny, sure. And exile their own Pyromancer there. That's fine. Okay. Jump block. I'll Thought Scour myself. Find an Oculus. Incredible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Play Oculus, and that's hopefully game. Get a Psychic Frog. Opponent pays an energy to keep around their Static Prison. They can Ghost Vacuum, get in a Johnny and a Lightning Helix, which could kill my Graveyard Trespasser. But then I have an Oculus and 2 frogs in play, which is hopefully enough to get it done, but they are a hard deck to kill. 4, 5, 6. Crack the Ghost Vacuum. They will have to sacrifice the Splage because it didn't escape. They can't flip their Ajani. Their things do have flying, though. Okay, Ward, discard a card. Okay. And they top deck. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, I was really worried about a Galvanic Discharge there. Luckily, that's not the case, but would have been real bad. Shoot the Sheriff means... I think I'm just attacking with Oculus here. A chump. I'll play a frog. And pass. Still down a game here. Find another Oculus. That's huge. And probably win now. Okay. Insanely long game. Do eventually pull it out, taking us to game 3 against Boros Energy. Oh. Gosh, what do I even want here? I think I'm just keeping it the same. And praying that this next game is a little bit easier for me. Well, it was quite fun. Quite a fun game, just kind of a long, hard one. On the draw for game number 3, never where you want to be against Boros Energy, but see what we can do. Starting off with a... Can I keep this? Let's see. They keep 7. I need to find land, like, right away, but I think I keep it. Ugh, it's a close one. They shock. Please no Ragavan. Ragavan is here to party. Okay. I find an island, which is pretty good, I suppose. I will play it and Thought Scour it myself on turn 1. Opponent gets to Ragavan me. See what they find. Engineered explosives, that's fine. So essentially getting them a treasure and clearing a dead card out of the way for me. They do have the land, though. Am I getting turn 2 Blood Moon? Feels like it? No. Engineered explosives on 2. Sure. I will target myself with that. And what is this? Thoughtseize? I guess I should have waited until end step to do this, but I don't think it really matters. This is probably just another 1-drop. Yeah, there's an Ocelot Pride. Pretty darn annoying. So I guess I Thought Scour. Wrong order of cards here. The Unearth was supposed to go into my hand, and the Oculus was supposed to go into the graveyard. But what can you do? Opponent getting in. They're 2 insane creatures. 2 of my sweepers are gone. Ragavan gets another trigger, granting my opponent even more mana and a Psychic Frog. These Jeez. That deck is just so hard to beat. Oh, they can't play the frog, though. Okay, that's good. That's good for me. They have a random blue source, which I doubt. There's a Guide of Souls, though. And I guess I will consider put that on top. Untap. Find a Shoot the Sheriff. Ugh, needed that to be 1 mana removal too. Draws are just not lining up in my favor right now. I guess I want to just slam a giant Murktide and hope they don't have removal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or at least hope their only removal is Galvanic Discharge. They fetch 4. Surveil Land. See where they put it. Gosh, if this was a Fatal Push, be in such better shape. They put it on top, too. That's probably game over. I would assume. Oh, man. Raven Charm. Oh, and I need one more instant or sorcery in my yard to be able to just get them here completely. I mean, not really a way I could have done that differently, though. I exiled all 5. Can't get an instant or sorcery in the yard. Whenever an instant or sorcery leaves your graveyard, can't do that this turn. Yeah, I think this is game over now. 3 and 2, probably. I mean, let's play it out, but we'll see. Oh my god. Imagine if this was a Fatal Push. Just easily an unbeatable draw. They try to get rid of my giant threat and are short 2 damage. It's such a greedy play from them, too. I mean, I can't do anything about this. I need another engineered explosives, but even that leaves them with 3 cats and a bunch of energy. They're thought scouring themselves. 2 arid maces into the yard, geez. They play another Surveil Land. Pass. I'll fetch. In Undercity Sewers. Frog does nothing here. Yeah. There's the Fatal Push. Okay. Is there anything I can do here? Can play out an Oculus. And then block 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 6 creatures. And block 2 of them. They have any removal, I die on the spot. Can't prevent that though, so let's just go for it. Ow. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this deck is you need the order of the cards you draw to be just right for your Thought Scours, all the stuff like that. There's the discharge. That's GG. 3 and 2 after match 5. Let's go for top 16. Maybe top 8 if I win the next 5 in a row, but probably not as it's a huge tournament. But hopefully do better in the next one. Ugh. Match 6 on the draw with an absolutely unkeepable hand. Let's send it back. This one's pretty good. So I have turn 1 Undercity Sewers, unless I want to put the Undercity Sewers back and maybe try and find something with the Consider to put into the graveyard and then unearth. I can also just play Undercity Sewers into Darkslick Shores and kind of get a little extra value from just having the Undercity Sewers as a land that gives me value, and then save the Consider for a little bit later, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. So let's send back the island, and let my opponent start us off. Alright, they are on a multi-5, so not the best for them. Looks like a green-black deck, possibly Yawgmoth, possibly something else. Let's put a frog into the graveyard so I can unearth it, should I find nothing else. I also have the option to Force of Negation this next turn. If it's something like a Green Suns, it is a Hedge Maze, which I'm not sure exactly what deck is running Hedge Maze. There's a Stomping Ground, too. Not sure what deck is running Stomping Ground Hedge Maze, honestly. Looks like some sort of Eldrazi variant. So the best thing to do is probably just going to be, I think, just hardcast Frog so that I can potentially find a Oculus to put into the graveyard and just get a faster clock. Opponent does nothing on 2, though. Possibly going to try and Kozilek's Command my Psychic Frog, which I will definitely Force of Negation. Let's see what they're going for here, though. 1, 2, 3. This is probably Null Drifter. Sure. You can Divination. I guess it's better than a Divination. It's 2 mana to draw 2 cards. And put a big thing into the graveyard. But I'm not too worried about that. They did surveil a land into the graveyard, so they probably already have another one ready to go. And it is an Eldrazi Temple, so they're looking at least 6 mana next turn, which is pretty scary. Let's see what we find. Find a Polluted Delta. So let's get in with the frog. I think just discard Fatal Push to get in some extra damage. Go ahead and draw a Bloodstained Mire, excuse me. Get back a Psychic Frog and have double Counterspell held up with 2 frogs in play. Feeling alright for game 1. Good they mulligan to 5. Game 1 is the hardest time to beat these giant Eldrazi decks. After board, I get 4 Consigned to Memories, which go a long way. They imprint an Emrakul and have enough to play a 7-drop now, which is pretty scary. We'll see which one they're going for. Hopefully it's just a Null Drifter, as I don't mind the draw to as much as I mind them killing one of my things. Okay, Worldbreaker's not too bad either. They go to target my untapped land. I will just fetch an island and counterspell that one. My land goes away, but I still have 2, and I get to keep all my frogs. So let's diversify the threats a little bit. Discard a Bloodstained Mire, because I don't think I'm going to need that 4th land. And again, I just want to do things a little bit faster. Let's play the Bloodstained Mire now. Fetch basic Swamp, and exile that Worldbreaker from their grave, so they can't get it back. Also, just getting an even faster clock on. If they try and play a non-creature spell, such as a Kozilek's Command, I can counter it. And if they play a big creature, that's a little bit annoying. But there's not a lot I could have done. Another Worldbreaker is probably the most annoying thing for me here. But it's possible for me to go around it, depending on what I draw. Cavern of Souls, okay. So cannot counter Eldrazi creatures, but couldn't really do that anyway. They can't Emrakul here. Showing Mycospawn isn't scary, or isn't too scary at least. Because that one is killable, and I can also go over it with these frogs. It looks like another World Breaker or a Devourer, maybe? Or possibly Kozilek's Command, too. Okay, so it is the Sowing Myco spawn, which they get to exile one of my lands. That's fine. And tutor for their own. So they'll have 4 mana here, possibly going for a Kozilek's Command. The worst time for them to do it for me would be on my upkeep, but they floated a mana, so they're not going to be able to do that. So they play the Myco spawn, and let's see what their other play is. Just a Rumble? Do I want to counter that? I don't think I do. I think I let them Rumble. They find a Devourer in their hand, but now I get to exile 2 things from the yard and also discard more things to frogs to fly over top of them. So find a Spell Pierce. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana next turn. With 4 card types, I can get them down to 3, but they'll still be able to play the Emrakul. So let's discard 1. Oop, did not mean to do that. I meant to cast that one. Excuse me. Let's just discard Spell Pierce. Hit them for 6, 7 damage with the... Well, I guess I want to save the Graveyard Trespasser because next turn it will deal more damage to them on the attack, and right now it just trades. So let's do that. We got to fly both of these. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Do I want to deal 1 more damage to them? But that means I can't counter a Kozilek's command, so I don't think so. Let's draw 2 cards. Oculus Murktide. Pass the turn. Can't play any of these right now. Graveyard Glutton flips. Let's see how many spells they can cast this turn, if they can flip it back. Oh. Okay, I did need to do that then. Now they can get back an Emrakul. And cast it, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wait. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I needed to attack. Okay. Once they play the land, I guess it doesn't matter. They are casting Emrakul, the Promised End here. What can I do about this? They gain control of my turn, so I guess I want to just discard all this stuff. They can kill one of my frogs. And fetch a Surveil land. Try and find something useless for them. Yeah, that's pretty useless. I discard that, kill one of my frogs, get rid of everything in my graveyard, and then I get to untap. Pretty devastating, though. I don't think I can beat that. This has protection from instants, so I can't bounce it. Don't have any sorceries to answer it. Maybe they mess up, though. I guess I could find... no, if they don't mess up, there's not really a lot I can do. Thought Scour into... Oculus, I guess. Thought Scour into Unearth Oculus. They block. Gonna exile all the cards in my graveyard now. Or maybe not. Now they are. Okay, don't think there's anything I can really do now. I guess I should have Force of Negationed the Malevolent Rumble. It just gave them too many card types. Or maybe I should have attacked... Well, I could have only gotten rid of one card with this. I don't know. Take the Consider here. Looks like I'm going to have to win games 2 and 3. Okay. My Flying Frog gains Flying 2. I get a turn, and... Yeah, nothing I can do here. Go to game number 2. Board in these. Get rid of the Graveyard Trespassers. I think get rid of the Cling to Dust too. I want all the Consigned to Memories. I want none of the spell Snares. I don't think I want the spell Pierce either. And get rid of a couple Fatal Push. Alright, so I get to bring in like 2 more cards here. What are the ones that I want? Spell Pierce, I guess, on the play is good. And maybe a Spell Snare, just to counter the Malevolent Rumbles, but let's just bring in the Cling to Dust. It cantrips can maybe matter a little bit if I get an important type out of their yard and cantrip into something good. Mostly just want to consign them out of the game, though. This is a great hand. Start off with an Undercity Sewers into something else fetched on turn 2, and then Swamp plus Harbinger on turn 3. Hope they don't have an answer for it. So let's Undercity Sewers. See what we find. Consider can stay. Yeah, that's good. They look at the top 4. Okay. They have 1 on top. Those 3 into the exile zone. See what their turn 1 play is. Windswept Heath and passing the turn. I will go ahead and play a Polluted Delta. Pass it back. I guess... no, I don't want to play the Bloodstained Mire, because I might want to fetch Basic Island with this. They play second Windswept Heath. Fetch for Basic Forest. And another Basic Forest. Okay, so they do a pretty good job at not caring about Harbinger, I guess. Might still be good next turn. I can stop them from getting... double colorless online for like Kozilek's command. See what they get here. They choose the Eldrazi Temple. Sure. So I will consider frog. Do I want a frog? I don't think so. I think let's just start filling up the graveyard. And now go ahead and basic island thought scour myself. Okay, so I can fetch for... Oh, my swamp got milled, so can't fetch for that. So definitely fetching the watery grave here. I can Thoughtseize plus Murktide, or Unearth a frog plus Murktide. And I think it's going to be better to Thoughtseize this turn. See what opponent is working with. We know they have a Devourer, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana next turn. Jeez, that's a lot of mana. They Surgical my frog in response. Sure. Okay, 4 frogs are gone. They're looking through my deck. They get Thoughtseized. And I'm definitely just taking a Kozilek's Command here. I thought they had an Eldrazi Temple in hand. No, I guess they got the Talisman playing around a Harbinger. So yeah, let's take Kozilek's Command. Put a large Murktide into play. And go for, I guess, a turn 2, or a 3-turn clock, maybe? They can't Devourer me this turn, though, which is very good. And I have Consign up for next turn. If I get up to 6 cards in yard, I can exile a bunch with this Oculus and turn it into a 2-turn clock, which would be nice. I play Talisman. Breeding Pool tapped. And pass. Okay. So I'll untap. Draw a card. Go for an attack with my Murktide Regent. They take 7 damage. I'll pass. Counter target non-creature spell. So this is whenever it is put into your graveyard from exile. Or leaves your graveyard. Okay. Alright. So they're attempting to hit my Murktide. I think I just consign, replicate once. And this is targeting... what did I cast it on? I cast Consign, targeting Devourer of Destiny, and counter that with the other one. Counter, counter. They have 2 cards in hand, both unknown. I have a 2-turn clock. So I will just go ahead and get in with the Murktide, put them down to 2, unable to get enough cards into my graveyard to kill them by exiling stuff with an Oculus, and play a Harbinger to turn them off of double colorless for another Devourer and pass. Don't want to have 6, just in case they have like a Ugin's Binding. Ancient Stirrings, I think I also just counter. And go to game 3. So pretty good from me there. I think I'm still happy with the way I've boarded. So let's go to game 3. All right, game number 3 on the draw with a all right hand. I think I'm going to keep it, but it's not incredible. They start with a Devourer of Destiny. Reveal it to me. Maybe against like an Eldrazi deck, I have to mulligan this and look for consigns. They exile Rumble, Labyrinth, and Mycospawn, which are all pretty good cards. They start with a Labyrinth and something else. Oh, I hope no Labyrinth into Talisman here, but definitely a possibility. What it looks like. Labyrinth, Talisman, go. Great start for my opponent. They are down to 4 cards, but they have 3 mana on turn 1. I will start with a Scalding Tarn and pass. Digging for consigns so that I am actually able to 1-for-1 my opponent. We'll see if they slam something here. Utopia Sprawl is fine. They're down to 3 cards in hand, and they just pass. So I think I've got to get a Watery Grave and consider here. Oh, maybe not just passing. See what this is. Looks like a Null Drifter, a Trinisphere. Okay. I will happily counter a Trinisphere here. Let's shock in a Watery Grave and Spell Pierce that. Great value from my Spell Pierce. That overall worked out pretty good for me. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana on turn 2, which is scary stuff, but only 2 cards left in hand. Really want to find some consigns. See if we can. Force of Negation is not the worst draw in the world, not incredible either. Let's just go ahead and pass the turn back. The plan here being consider twice, or maybe consider plus Surveil land. Maybe get to fire off one of these counter spells. Is that good enough to force here? Honestly, I think it is. Just, I would force a land here if I could. Stop them from getting to 6 mana for Myco spawns. Make them use at least 1 to ramp. If they have 2. And hopefully find some consigns. So I'm not going to counterspell that one. I don't think I want Unearth. So that's fine. They get an Eldrazi Temple. Pass. I will just get a Surveil land. Get as much value as I can here. Put a Misty into the yard. Don't want that one. Untap. Was looking for a Harbinger this turn. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. I think I have to just slam the Oculus and hope they don't have a Devourer. Hope it's like another Myco Spawn or a World Breaker. Both of which are still very good here, but not as unbeatable if I have this large flyer down. Let's get a Psychic Frog. There's the consign I wanted in my hand. Oops. They play an Ugin's Labyrinth. They need 11 mana to Emrakul. They don't exile anything to it. See what their last card is. Tapping a lot of mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Scary. Okay, so it looks like it is a 7-drop here. And it is the Devourer. Jeez. Needed it to be one of their other large threats. Let's see what we can get done, though. There's a consign. Let's consider. Put that into the yard. And then and I just have to pass. Oh gosh, they have another Devourer underneath the Ugin's Labyrinth. And I need to find a removal spell for the one on the board right now. I attack with both. I'll block there. Flip up this Psychic Frog. Discard Misty and Counterspell. Eat their thing, go down to 6. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's probably it. I drew another big thing. Looks like a Null Drifter. Yeah. So I need a Shoot the Sheriff right now. And that will allow me to do something. Not lose is what will allow me to do. Thoughtseize is not Shoot the Sheriff, so Thought Scour myself. Also not the Shoot the Sheriff. And I think that's gonna be it. I guess I can get this up to be big enough to block the Devourer, but then I just die to them casting anything. But it's not over yet, so I guess I won't treat it as such. And this looks like anything else, which is probably going to do it for me in this match. We'll see. All right. So they are destroying a land and getting one of their own. I think that's it. I don't think I can beat this. There's not a card in my deck that gets me there, so I think that's going to be it for me today. 3-3 in this challenge. Not the worst showing. Would have liked to do a little bit better. Don't think I want to play out the last 4 rounds for a possibility at prizes. Haven't eaten all day, so I think I'll go get something to eat and see everybody in the next video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment. Lets me know that you like the video. Let me know if you like the new overlay. I'm working hard to make the editing better, make it as seamless, and have as little downtime as possible. I know I stutter occasionally, but a lot of stuff in the works to make the channel better. So keep an eye out, and I will see you soon.